I'm excited this morning. I am just headed over to meet my friend Jim formerly of Martel's restaurant, which we had maybe you call it a party to celebrate the closing last night. He's been there for 11 years and the contract didn't come through. That is not the primary point of the conversation. The primary point of the conversation is here's a guy who's got some great stories and is just a super good fellow to know. So let's see how this all turns out. So tell me about the decision to move to California. This was after the bike ride thing?
No, so the bike ride's what got me to California.
Okay.
So
the bike ride story. Let's
So
establish.
I'm working at a restaurant downtown Albany. A couple females come in looking for a donation for a charity bike ride they're doing. They give me the paperwork. They say they'll come back in a couple days to get my take on it, see if I'm interested in sponsoring them. And when they returned, I asked them for the contact information in a form because I wanted to do the bike ride myself. That was in '95. And so I had to set out and put a plan together, raise money for a local charity, which ended up I raised money for the Albany Police Athletic League. They sponsored me, and then any money that I raised went back to cover my sponsorship, and any extra money went towards the charity.
I feel like the first time I heard this story, there was more juice, right? These ladies come in, they talk about this bike ride they're going to do, and
Yep.
you were lit on fire one way or another.
Yeah,
You were
yeah.
like, this sounds, because why? What was so great about it?
It just was something, I guess, that I was looking for. You know, I was bored in downtown Albany. I wanted to do something, and this was like a cool adventure. Ride from Victoria, British Columbia down to Tijuana, Mexico over the course of a month. Average about 85 miles a day riding down the West Coast. You know,
So the PCH.
PCH, yeah, when you got into,
that
yeah,
is
yeah.
a spectacular ride.
So,
and how many riders were on that trip?
I'm going to say around 20. And I was surprisingly the youngest at
Really?
25 years old.
Okay.
The oldest was 66, 68.
Oh, that is a long, ambitious ride.
Yeah. I mean, I think the average age was somewhere in the mid to late 40s.
Okay.
And I would say most of that was probably because of where most people are financially and you know,
To be able to take that
to
much
be able to
time
take a
off.
month off
Yeah.
and stuff like that. A couple retirees.
Were most of them regular bike riders, so they were in bike shape, or?
I would say no.
No, really?
I think it's just something like either some people either did as a hobby, some people did it as an adventure and as a challenge.
Which is like you.
Which was like me.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like riding or walking the Adirondack Trail, right?
Yeah.
That bucket list.
Yeah.
You know, I just want to see it at that pace, but I like the pace of a bike.
Yeah, well,
And for that coast, I mean, it's just stellar.
it's amazing.
Did that group of people mostly stay together as a clump, or did they separate out?
I think you found your groups that you were compatible with and same physical characteristics and speed and
stuff you want to talk
agility
about.
and what you want to talk about
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And
How much disruption to traffic?
Right. Yeah. I mean, when you're riding, I mean, you're usually single file, and you're chugging along, just pushing pedal,
But I
clip for
feel
clip,
like
and
that is a narrow road.
yeah,
To where car coming by it's going to be a distraction for the driver.
yeah,
But-
for everyone, and so again, between the youngest to oldest, I mean, you're talking 40-year difference.
Yeah.
So some people went at a slow rate and stopped and smelled the roses and took photos and whatever, and others pedaled just to see if they could finish and everything in between.
Which group are you?
I was probably, I mean, we rode. I mean, we did our thing and we had fun on it, and we'd stop and have a beer and something to eat for lunch, and but we got the ride done. But there was definitely, hard days.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot.
Did you ride with those girls that had originally come in to raise
No,
money?
they did not. They did not survive.
Is that right? So that
Yeah.
means they crapped out. How soon?
Yeah, and that was, I think, lesson number one before we left for our first day of the ride is don't quit. Because once you quit,
You're done.
no one's staying with you.
Did somebody say that? Was that like
That was
a pep talk?
Yeah, that was pep talk. That was like rule number one.
Wow.
Because you're climbing mountains,
Yeah.
and in the first day, if you quit the first day,
You're
they
not
told
gonna
you,
make it.
you will not make the ride.
Yeah.
And, the ride, first day, straight up hills, and you're climbing and the legs are burning. And if you get off that seat,
You're not
getting back on. And I mean, it was no truer of a statement.
Was it day one that those girls crapped out?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how does that affect the money that they were trying to raise?
I think I don't know. I mean, I think they made the money. So I mean, whatever they did, I mean, it didn't change.
Okay.
We weren't pedaling mile for mile. It was just you raised whatever money you could, or you paid your own way.
Okay.
So I don't think it affected that. It just affected where you were in the group of people, and it just seemed that the people that quit kind of got left behind in all aspects of the event.
Did you ever see them again?
Not after we got back to New York, no.
No.
And even on the whole trip, it just, they were their own little group.
Okay.
And everyone else was just,
So who?
you really got outcasted, I guess you could say.
Yeah. So who did you end up falling in with?
I mean, there was probably, let's see, 2-3 people I rode with primarily, and then once in a while I'd switch up with a couple other guys. There was a couple people from Washington. There was a couple people that worked for Microsoft when Microsoft, the 90s. So, I mean, they were kind of big tech people.
I understand they're still around as a going concern.
I believe they are. I think there was a couple people from New York City and a couple from California. So I think after the first couple of years, we all stayed in touch, and then it kind of
Drifted
wandered
apart.
off. And
I was curious about that.
yeah. So it was like never. Well, for me, it was never lifelong friendships that ensued and stuff like that.
Does that trip still happen? Is that organization still?
So
Because that sounds like a trip I might be interested in to do.
So this was 95, and the company, the outfit that put it on was based out of Washington. Their bigger plan, so they did a couple local century rides, 100-mile rides through the Washington area. They did some shorter trips down the coast or through Canada. This West Coast that I did from Canada to Mexico was almost 1,800 miles. And what they were planning for is in 1999, they were leaving for a 1-year bike trip around the world.
Wow.
So you left on January 1st, 1999, and you ended up back in the States on December 31st, going into 2000.
Did they do that?
I don't know if it fully got completed. They started, and from what I heard and read is they got into a lot of challenges, going through Europe and Asia and stuff like that. So I don't know exactly how it finished out. I believe they went bankrupt.
Is that right?
Yeah, I think because it got pretty.
So they would raise the money, and then they were responsible for housing and feeding.
Yeah, so then the
riders
outfit was responsible
Okay.
for all the travel itinerary, all your visas and everything that you need to get to go to these other places and stuff like that, where you were supposed to stay, sleep.
Yeah.
But
So if they went
the
bankrupt-
logistics got pretty rough.
No, that's a big,
You know,
and depending, I suppose, on what route you were going to take.
Yeah.
You know, I mean.
But they were supposed to go like from Washington, I think, through the southern part of the United States, then go into like Mexico. They were supposed to hit like 17 different countries, I think, you know, and work their way back, get into America, and I think it was to finish in New York and New Year's Eve or something like that.
Man, that sounds great.
Yeah,
but a little.
but it was like $100,000, I think, a person.
So you're going to sponsors to try to come up with that much, plus maybe some more.
Or you pay yourself.
Yeah. Would I want to spend $100,000 to bike around the world? That's a big number.
I would do it.
You would?
It was spectacular.
It
was spectacular. You can't see the world any other way.
Yeah, no, I agree.
You know?
100%. I did a tour just through Italy, meaning we started at the southern part of Switzerland and just sort of coasted down the Italian Alps for most of it. There was some uphill, but that is a highlight.
Yeah.
That's just a fantastic memory. That actually is connected in some ways to how we ended up in Lake George, I think, because there was one day when we arrived at and slept on one side of Lago di Maggiore, which is similar to Lake Como and similar to Lake George, in that the mountains come right down to the water. And I thought, and it was a similar size village, except it was Italian and charming in that way. And I thought, man, this would not be a bad life at all, to live in a town like this and have a view like that. And that would be your life, to be a little business owner. And then 10 years later, turns out we ended up doing that. And it's harder than I thought it was when I already paid for the boat ride across that lake. But it really is a spectacular. You're out on the road, and we never had bad weather that I recall. But in the nice weather, cruising down a hill on a bike, tough to beat.
Yeah. I mean, your body gets in tune with it, and then your body just takes over, and it does its own thing.
Yeah.
You know, after our ride, 27 days of riding, on day 28 when you woke up and the ride was all over, your body was ready to get on a bike, just because that's what it's been trained to do. You know, your legs were ready to start pedaling.
Yeah.
But there was nowhere to pedal to.
Tour de France?
Could have went, you know.
You were that fit? You were that ready?
Oh my Lord, I think. I mean, it was, it's amazing.
The joys of the open road. We will have another part with Jim coming up soon.